Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm going to review The Crying of Lot 49 for you by Thomas Pynchon. This came out in, I want to say, 1965, and it's a very short book. It's about 150 pages, so it's like a novella or an extended short story. I don't normally do reviews for stuff I didn't really like because it doesn't really seem like, I don't want to get that out there unless it's like tremendously bad and it's kind of fun to shit on. But um, I reread this, so this video is probably coming out after Summer of Night by Dan Simmons review. And after I read that, I wanted like a breather book, something short, before I got into another novel. So I just decided to reread this. I had read this before, I think at the time when I read it, I enjoyed the paranoia aspects of it, but I found it just really difficult to get through. And frankly, it was the same case here. I like Pynchon. Um, I've always liked his style. It's just he's very you can't really categorize him. He's just such a weird writer. He writes in such a weird way. He's clearly a very, very smart person. His writing ability, his skill is just very, very high. He's one of our best American writers, honestly. And then just the way that he blends all that with this sort of like goofball humor, lowbrow humor, I've always enjoyed. But I don't know, I find that this book to me is somewhat of a slog to get through. Of course, this is a very iconic book. Tons of people love this, and a very influential book. Quickly, this is basically to me like the starting point, the genesis of that Pynchon paranoia. Really, it's a conspiracy theory story about a woman named Oedipa Maas who, while she becomes the executor of an ex-lover's will, along the way she discovers a weird symbol in a bathroom of a muted horn, which is probably on many of the various covers of this. And that starts a conspiracy about the Postal Service, and she goes down rabbit hole after rabbit hole, trying to figure out what the hell is going on, oftentimes hitting dead ends, but sometimes trying to maybe find just a little bit of meaning in what someone said, and then finding a connection and going down another rabbit hole, and you get the idea. The feel of this book, of course, it's typical Pynchon wackiness, surrealism, but the overall atmosphere I love in the book. It's very paranoid, and it has that conspiratorial angle, which I love. But honestly, I find this a slog to get through again, having reread it. And I know that there are a lot of people that prefer Pynchon's earlier works. They oftentimes call the later stuff Pynchon light, though I don't think his later stuff is, maybe for Pynchon is light, but it's certainly not easy to read. I think all of his books are pretty challenging reads. But I just tend to prefer his later stuff. I think, especially in this book, I just find, I don't know, it's like you can kind of see what he's trying to do sometimes, and it just feels like it's overdone. But the biggest issue for me is just, I think his prose is not quite, he didn't quite get into it yet. There's a lot of awkward sentences in here, and maybe that's the point, but it just doesn't flow to me. And there are just sections where there's really cool parts of this book for sure, but then there are like long sections where I'm like, this is just boring, like the play section. That won't mean anything, of course, if you haven't read the book, but if you have, you know what I'm talking about. For me, like that is just very boring. So I found myself, despite the short runtime of this book, struggling to kind of get through it. Yeah, and I think I might probably liked it a little better the second time, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't normally do reviews for books I didn't really care for, and I don't dislike this book. I would probably give it like 3 out of 5 stars, maybe 3.5. It's very well written. I just think that he hones his style in a little bit better. Quickly talking about how influential this book is, though, like this sort of thing has inspired so many things, too many to name right here. But off the top of my head, some stuff I like that's been inspired, that this inspired. Under the Silver Lake by David Robert Mitchell, a fantastic film. The guy who did It Follows, a wonderful film. Lodge 49, which is an awesome TV show, total like under the radar TV show. And a recent show I've been watching that is amazing called Search Party. just specifically the first season. If you haven't seen it, you got to watch it if you like Pynchon or paranoia or conspiracy kind of thing, surrealism. Great show. But yeah, so not my favorite, but just I just wanted to get that review out there. I felt I might as well since I just read it. Sorry about that. So I'm currently reading Song of Kali by Dan Simmons, and I would like to read Bleeding Edge by Pynchon. I have never read that one, and I started reading it, but I never finished it. So I really am interested in checking that one out. Anyways, if you've read this, let me know what you think. If you loved this book, that's cool. I want to know. If you hated it, that's cool. I want to know. Let me know, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.